It was 3 a.m. when the pounding started, loud enough to rattle the windows of the cabin I'd built with my own hands. I stumbled out in my boxers and bare feet, the cold gravel biting into my soles. 6 deputies had their weapons drawn, flashlights blinding me. "Illegal camping," one barked. "Get off this property now." The air smelled of pine and patrol car exhaust. Standing off to the side in her bright pink robe, arms crossed and smirking, was Evelyn Hargrove, the self-appointed queen of our homeowners association. She called 911, claiming I was some dangerous transient threatening families. She had no idea she'd just picked a fight with a retired Marine who'd spent 2 decades dealing with real threats and real abuses of power. Big mistake, Evelyn. What's the worst HOA or neighbor nightmare you've ever faced? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone. Let me back up. 3 years earlier, my 20-year career in the Marines ended the same week my ex-wife decided she preferred her personal trainer's positive vibes over our life together. Perfect timing, Cheryl. That's when I inherited 5 acres of beautiful North Carolina mountain land from my grandfather, Henry, the man who taught me you build things not because you have to, but because your hands need the work and your soul needs the quiet. Ridgeview Hollow sounds upscale on paper. It's really just 47 homes tucked into the woods, where folks come to escape city stress, only to create their own brand of drama through the HOA. The association started in the late 80s to handle roads and basic disputes. What they ended up with was Evelyn Hargrove. Picture a former DMV supervisor mixed with a drill sergeant who'd watched too many courtroom shows. 3 terms as president, always unopposed, because most normal people have better things to do than police mailbox colors or grass height. My grandfather's parcel predated their little empire by 15 years. Grandfathered rights, clear as day. When I decided to build a modest cabin instead of some cookie-cutter McMansion, I double-checked every regulation. Solar panels, composting toilet, well, water cleaner than what most folks drink from the tap. The scent of fresh-cut cedar became my morning ritual, the hum of the generator blending with birdsong while I planned the day's work. Rough-hewn boards under my calloused hands, the solid thunk of a perfect joint. This place was piecing my life back together, nail by nail. Then Evelyn discovered me. One Tuesday morning, I'm hanging kitchen cabinets when I hear the sharp click-click-click of heels on gravel, like a determined woodpecker. She rounds a corner, clipboard in one hand, phone camera in the other. No hello, no introduction. That structure violates community standards. I set down my drill, wiped sawdust off my hands. "Ma'am, this is a permanent residence on land my family owned before your HOA even existed." She reads from her phone like scripture. Section 4.7b prohibits temporary dwellings, trailers, tents, or RVs. This as a foundation permits everything. It's legal. We'll see about that. Her smile could curdle milk. Thursday brought the certified letter. $500 daily fines for illegal camping, with legal threats in 10 days unless I stopped. I sat on my porch with coffee that tasted like Grandpa's well water, metallic, filtered through decades of limestone, and felt the old clarity return. In the core, you learn there's always a rule and always someone twisting it for their own ends. The key is knowing which battles to walk away from and which ones to win decisively. A quick trip to the courthouse showed Evelyn hadn't bothered checking my deed's special provisions. Not just grandfathered. My land carried exemptions baked into the original development agreement. But what really burned me was learning she'd pulled this on others. The Millers sold last year after she labeled their backyard vegetable patch commercial agriculture. Tom Riley couldn't rent his place because new safety issues kept appearing, each requiring costly fixes. This wasn't about rules or property values. This was one former bureaucrat who'd peaked at making folks wait in line for license renewals, now hungry for bigger targets. When petty tyrants pick on a Marine who's handled real danger, they learn the hard difference between borrowed authority and real power. Evelyn wanted to play games with my grandfather's land. Fine. Game on. Her next move came Monday. A county truck rolled up. Out stepped Brian Keller from code enforcement, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Sir, anonymous complaint. Unpermitted construction. Safety hazards to kids. Anonymous, my foot. I could practically smell Evelyn's overpowering floral perfume lingering in the air. I walked Brian through it all. Licensed solar install, certified composting system, quarterly well tests, cleaner than county water. He nodded, taking notes, clearly seeing no disaster. Then his phone rang. He stepped away, but mountain air carries voices. Yes, ma'am. Community safety first. When he returned, his tone shifted. Need copies of everything. Full structural inspection in 30 days. Grandpa's old advice echoed. When officials come knocking, stand right there and watch what they're really after. After Brian left, I pulled the complaint file at the courthouse. Photos attached, taken from inside my tree lane, not the public road. Evelyn had trespassed repeatedly for her little surveillance campaign. Time to document properly. Trail cameras on my property lines caught her daily patrols, measuring, photographing, testing gates, always when she thought I was gone. County records painted the pattern. 6 owners targeted in 18 months. Same playbook, anonymous tip, pressure, expensive demands, surrender. The Millers lost their home over tomatoes. Tom battled endless fire hazards. My neighbor Ellen Carter slipped me a flash drive one evening. Ring camera footage of Evelyn prowling my land at midnight with a flashlight, measuring like a deranged surveyor. Ellen, a sharp retired bookkeeper, was fed up. She's been asking about your grandfather, whether anyone remembers him being here regularly. That's when I spotted the gap in utility records. 1998 to 2001, 3 years Grandpa spent in assisted living, minimal activity on the property. Evelyn wasn't enforcing rules. She was hunting for ways to invalidate my grandfathered status. If she proved abandonment, my exemptions vanished. Clever. Ruthless but clever. Friday brought escalation. Brian returned with backup, a county inspector I'd never met, plus 3 volunteers from the Ridgeview Community Safety Committee. Guess who chaired it? They photographed anything that could stretch into a violation while the inspector hunted technicalities. Camera clicks mixed with rustling paperwork created a strange bureaucratic symphony. The truth hit. This wasn't about current rules. Evelyn was building a case to erase my legal right to be here. She'd just shown her hand. Now I could counter. Her next play came disguised as a public health crisis. Tuesday morning, deck railings half installed. Brian and a stern woman from County Health arrived. Serious violations, lack of municipal water and sewer, contamination risk to the community supply. I explained again, off-grid by choice, all permitted, exceeding standards. That's the issue, Brian said. They gave me 48 hours to hook up or vacate. Running lines up the mountain? 30 grand, 6 months minimum. I called an old buddy from my unit, now in municipal planning down in Charlotte. After venting, he laughed. They're breaking state law. Renewables statutes protect off-grid setups. File with the state environmental office. County can't override. He was right. North Carolina encouraged sustainable rural living. Wednesday, Tom jogged over, phone in hand. Listen to this. Evelyn's voice on recording, offering to expedite his rental permit if he backed her health emergency position. Quid pro quo, captured digitally. She'd been working the neighborhood, deals, threats, mob tactics. I held back from confronting her. Let her keep digging her hole. Thursday, Ellen brought bad news and documents. Evelyn filed environmental complaints 3 weeks earlier, claiming my systems threatened the aquifer. Fiction, but technical enough to scare bureaucrats. Worse, she was telling folks I was under federal investigation. Elderly neighbors worried about their wells. That crossed into criminal territory. False environmental reports? Federal agencies don't play games with that. Friday, I filed countercomplaints with the state, timeline, proofs, Tom's recording. The investigator sounded eager. The hunter had become the hunted. Monday, the war went online. Ellen texted screenshots from the Ridgeview Community Safety Alert Facebook group. Evelyn posted my cabin photos with captions like "Dangerous squatter threatens family safety." Fantasy tales of transients, criminal backgrounds. My service record? security clearance higher than most politicians. But facts didn't matter. Comments exploded, neighbors I'd never met claiming plummeting values, drug hints, tools. My circular saw became an assault weapon. Tuesday brought the patrol. Evelyn leading 3 women with clipboards, marching my boundary, photographing, announcing noise violations from my generator. Legal hours, timed perfectly. Wednesday, a deputy arrived for follow-up noise complaints. I showed timer logs. He sighed. 47 calls from Ridgeview in 6 months. Same complainant. Textbook harassment. That afternoon, Tom shared another recording. Evelyn offering $200 cash for an affidavit claiming I'd threatened him, plus hints of suspicious late-night activities suggesting drugs or weapons. She wasn't harassing anymore. She was framing me for felonies. Thursday evening, my counteroffensive began. Formal complaints to the sheriff, harassment pattern, bribery audio, defamation. I created a fake profile, infiltrated her group, scheduled posts, coordinated talking points, outsiders amplifying outrage. Friday, Ellen reported Evelyn offering an elderly neighbor $500 to claim I'd buried suspicious packages at midnight. Desperation showing. She'd crossed into attempted felony fraud. Saturday morning, sorting Grandpa's old papers, I found a manila envelope marked Ridgeview Development Confidential. Inside, 1987 correspondence thanking Grandpa for his $50,000 infrastructure contribution. In exchange, permanent advisory status in HOA governance, plus first right of refusal on any common area sales, including the 12-acre forest preserve behind my cabin, feeding the watershed for 200 families. Handwritten note. Confidential to avoid complications. My family held veto power over HOA land decisions. Ironclad. I call my buddy. Your grandfather bought veto rights before the HOA charter. Legally unbreakable. Monday's discovery sealed it. HOA records showed Timber Ridge logging filed impact reports 8 months earlier for selective cutting. $180,000 payday. Required unanimous board consent and compliance with old agreements. My veto. But $23,000 in consulting fees paid to EH Property Services LLC, Evelyn's company, over 18 months. She'd been embezzling while plotting to sell the forest. When my veto blocked her, she targeted me to invalidate it. Tuesday, business records confirmed. EH Property Services, Evelyn's sole owner. Wednesday, Ellen's analysis. Road repair fund drained to zero despite assessments. All funneled to emergency consulting, her company. Embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, environmental destruction. The irony? She'd attacked the one man who could legally dismantle her. I planned 3 phases. Gather ironclad evidence. Rally the community quietly. Expose her publicly while building better. Phase 1. Forensic accounting with Ellen. Patterns clear. Every challenge to spending triggered a crisis, needing her consulting. Phase 2. Subtle organizing. Tom learned his rental permit was approved months ago. Evelyn sat on it. Another neighbor discovered fake fence permit fees. I turned Brian. State investigators questioned his actions. He admitted being misled. I don't want to be the guy who harassed an innocent veteran. Phase 3. Contacted a land conservation group. Their specialist confirmed logging would contaminate wells. Offered $120,000 easement, permanent protection, 40% tax breaks for all, trail grants. Better than destruction. Trail cams caught Evelyn with Timber Ridge reps, marking trees. Thursday, comprehensive complaints to prosecutor, embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, environmental crimes. Monday, vandalism, solar panels disconnected, wiring stripped. Cameras captured Evelyn at 2:47 a.m., screwdriver in hand. Tuesday, she filed a false report claiming I'd damaged them for insurance fraud. Deputy showed up. I played the footage. His face changed. This creates issues with her statement. Tom shared another bribe attempt. $1,000 to claim I'd buried chemical-smelling bags, manufacturing probable cause for raids. Wednesday, community coffee turned into testimony session. Fake fees permit sabotage, discriminatory demographic standards assessments. Thursday, Evelyn offered an elder $2,000 to claim chemical dumping in the creek, risking everyone's water. Friday, evidence packages to authorities, including her development partnerships, flipping the neighborhood after forcing sales. Saturday dawned with sirens. For cruisers blocked my drive. Threats against a community leader, possible weapons. Evelyn's false emergency, claiming I'd threatened violence at the meeting. TV crew arrived for squatter removal. Brian appeared with demolition crew. But the deputy in charge questioned the anonymous tip. Same complainant, 47 calls. I produced my folder, vandalism video, bribery audio, embezzlement docs. The reporter turned to Evelyn. Comment on embezzling funds while selling protected forest. She melted down on camera, denials, rage admissions. Demolition backed off. False emergency collapsed. Neighbors gathered. An 80-year-old vet, Harold, spoke quietly. In my day, we called people who abuse power like this collaborators. Evelyn fled. The HOA meeting at 2 p.m. packed the center. 80 residents, commissioner, sheriff. Evelyn arrived late, folder of violations. I invoked advisory rights, displayed 1987 agreement, veto power gasps. Then Timber Ridge docs, selling forest for profit. Financials, $23,000 embezzled. Tom's bribery recording played. Neighbors testified. Fake fees, discrimination. Sheriff stepped up. Evelyn Hargrove, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, false reports, conspiracy. Handcuffs clicked. I presented the conservation easement, protection, tax relief, trails. Vote. Unanimous, 67-0. Evelyn removed. 6 months later, Ridgeview transformed. Forest preserved, roads fixed, values up 15% for natural beauty. Evelyn got 18 months federal time, $45,000 restitution. Her house sold to a young veteran family with kids who love the new trails. New HOA, transparent budgets, term limits, real input. My cabin hosts weekend workshops, solar, composting, carpentry. Ellen's treasurer, Tom's recreation chair. We started the Ridgeview Environmental Fellowship, scholarships for sustainable studies, funded by ecotourism. Legal precedent passed. Rural Property Rights Act protects off-grid living, strengthens HOA oversight. Grandpa's legacy wasn't just land. It was tools to protect a community from corruption. We built trust, cooperation, a place worth passing down. What about you? Have you faced injustice from petty authority, HOA tyrants, abusive neighbors, or worse? Share your story in the comments. Especially tell us, where do you draw the line between standing up for yourself and crossing into real harm? When is enough truly enough? I read every comment. Let's discuss.